Look, I know it's been a tough couple of weeks to be a Hawks fan, but it could be worse. You could be me. You could have just spent the last 20 minutes recording a video only to find out the footage was not focused. So that's what I just did. So we're re-recording this, and what did I talk about to start the video? I talked about how it's been an upwards journey in terms of me talking about the Hawks. It's been positive to positive from when they started with Nate McMillan to then the Eastern Conference Finals. There's been a lot of positives, so this is the first video in which it's not going to be completely negative. I'm not going to be bashing the Hawks saying, oh, the season's over, oh my god, is it disaster stakes? No. Am I still going to issue some concerns? Obviously. They're 4-8, and that's not good enough, if we're being completely honest, for a team that we expect a lot better of. Like the video, please, because yes, as I said, this is a re-recording because it was unfocused. Also, one little PSA, starting a second channel. Yes, I know, crazy. I know, some people do it all the time, but it's basically just going to be for, remember last year when I talked about the Hawks in the playoffs, those kind of post-game reactions. I'll do the same thing. Hopefully the Hawks make the playoffs, but for teams that I like and enjoy watching during the regular season, I'll talk about them a little bit more so I can add some extra content, but during the playoffs as well, expect that kind of stuff on the second channel. So if you could subscribe, it takes like, what, 5 seconds? And it'd be nice, okay? That would be much appreciated. Where do we start? Well, we've got to start with the start of the season, and it started strong. I said that too many times, but you get the point. It started strong, and I was drinking the Hawks Kool-Aid. We all were. Any of my doubts went out the window. Any of my doubts about could the defense hold up went out the window because Deandre Hunter decided, Luka Doncic, let me put you in my back pocket and just lock you away, put the key away, because he locked him up. And the Hawks looked fantastic. They were clicking on offense. Deandre Hunter came into a team that was already an Eastern Conference Finals team and looked like the player we hoped he would be, particularly defensively. Didn't do much offensively in that game, but we didn't need it. And it was a good start. Since then, 3-8, worst defense in the league. The worst defense in the league, and it hasn't even been that close. That is very disappointing because I wasn't expecting the 0-4 Pistons out of this team, but I wasn't expecting the 2021 Pistons either. Like, I wasn't expecting them to be the 30th ranked defense over the last 11 games, and in general, they're the 27th ranked defense on the season. That's poor. And yes, the schedule has been tough, and we'll talk about that as well, okay? We won't neglect that. We know they've played some tough teams, but still, this is a team that we expected to be, one of the best 8 teams in the league? Now, I hear people talking about, oh, well, a Trae Young-led team can't be a good defense. Stop it. Stop it. Well, okay, there's some merit to that. They can't be a great defense, I don't believe, because he is a liability, and then you have guys that aren't amazing defenders like Bogdanovic and other guys in the rotation. But they were the 10th ranked defense the last 15 to 20 games of last year when Nate McMillan came in and they flipped the switch, and that was without Hunter, that was without Radish, so there's no reason they couldn't be even better. And then the playoffs, they were the 7th ranked defense out of 16 teams in a very obviously competitive environment, so there's no reason they can't be at least middle of the pack, and they're nowhere near middle of the pack to start the season. Now, I just want to touch on Deandre Hunter and Cam Radish before I get into the team as a collective. These are two guys that are kind of symbolic of what the Hawks have been to start the season. Just a bit inconsistent. We all know Deandre Hunter and Cam Radish have a lot of potential, very high on them, and we have to understand they've only played less than 100 games each, so there are going to be some inconsistencies, or at least Hunter has. I don't know how many Radish has played. You get the point. They haven't played many games. It doesn't matter how many. Some nights, they look amazing defensively. They look good offensively, and then other nights, they don't look fantastic. So that's what you're getting from the Hawks. We have to remember, people say it's a cop-out. I've heard people say that, oh, it's a cop-out to say this team is young. They're young, okay? They're a young team. Do we expect them to do better? Do they expect themselves to be better? Should they be 4-8? No, okay? Yes. But they're still a young team, and they're going to have their inconsistencies, and they have had a tough schedule. But let's talk about the defense, because regardless of that, they're the 30th ranked defense. And why is that? Well, to keep it short, to keep it simple, to keep it sweet, they're giving up a lot of threes and at a good percentage, and also the 2-point shots they're giving up is also at a good percentage. Not giving up as many 2-point shots as they are threes, but it's still, they're not defending it at a high percentage. And what does this come down to? Well, it comes down to a few things. The rotations haven't been fantastic. There has been some uncertainty with the lineups and the rotations. They've tried a few different things. DeLon Wright to give them some defensive versatility. Gorgie Dieng, they're obviously missing Onyeka Okongwu, which for non-Hawks fans, or for people that didn't watch the Hawks as closely as I did, not saying I'm a messiah, but as I did, we know Okongwu he's that guy. He already is. I genuinely believe he would have been challenging Capella for a starting spot as soon as this year. I genuinely believe that, and the way Capella has started the season is also kind of a reason they've struggled, because he hasn't been fantastic by any means on either end of the floor. He's been disappointing. I genuinely believe Okongwu could have been in that contention for the starter spot, and he just adds a different element. He's someone that can be a little bit more versatile. He moves his feet a little bit better. He could have helped them in terms of getting out to the perimeter and switching onto more players and guarding their three-point line a bit better, because that has been their biggest struggle. So that's one thing where they're missing. But still not good enough. It seems like they're just missing that guy who organizes the defense right now. You look at all the top defenses, and there's someone that is the organizer / the leaders of the defense. Even Denver, they've got Jokic, who's out there organizing the defense. He's improved as a defender, but he's also very vocal, and he knows where to set people up on the court. Draymond Green in Golden State, they're the best defense for a reason. Miami, you've got Bam, you've got Jimmy Butler, you've got PJ Tucker, Kyle Lowry. All of these guys are vocal and good defensively and know where to be. It's not just about how good they are individually, but also having a guy that can really set up the defense is important. And I don't know if Atlanta have that. Obviously, I can't hear what they're saying on TV, so I don't know. Maybe they're talking as much as any team in the NBA, and everything I'm saying is just complete BS. That could be true. It doesn't look like it, does it? It doesn't look like it when they miss a rotation out to a three-point shooter. It doesn't look like it. Do they have the most talented defensive individuals from 1 to 5 in terms of Bogdanovic and Trey as the two guys that I'd mention? No, okay? Those guys are kind of not great defenders, let's be honest. But then, the rest of the team, they've got enough defensive players. They've got enough versatility. They've got enough cohesion as a team that made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They should know each other well enough. I know Hunter and Radish are still implementing each other, but still, like, they've got enough cohesion with the team to know where to be, to know what to do, to know how to get out to a three-point shooter, to know how to make the right rotations, to know how to call out when someone needs to be in some positions. They've got enough of that to not be at the position they are. Because if you look at the other metrics in terms of points off turnovers, points in the paint, fast break points, all of these metrics, which is more offensive related and how sloppy they are with the ball and stuff like that, they've been okay. It's really just about the rotations. It's about getting out to three-point shooters. That's kind of what it is, okay? And then offensively, well, the disappointing part is the reason they're 4-8 is because sure, the defense has been bad. It's been abysmal. The offense hasn't been great, which you'd expect from a team with the offensive talent they have. They should be a top 10 offense at most times, okay? Schedule has been tough. I don't need to keep reiterating it. They've played some very good defenses. Granted, okay? But at the moment, they're still a below average offense, and there's a few reasons for this that I want to touch on. Okay, here comes the new generation of me talking about the three-point shooting, but can we take more threes if we're Atlanta? You've paid Bogdanovic, you've paid Herder, you've paid Gallinari over the last, 2 years? You've paid all of those guys money, and for what reason? Three-point shooting. I know they do other stuff. Okay, that's cool. Three-point shooting. They need to be taking more threes. And then you've got Collins, you've got Trey, you've got Hunter, you've got Radish. Those guys can shoot the ball as well. At the moment, the Hawks are bottom 5 in three-point attempts. Bottom 5. And this is a team that's top 10 in three-point percentage and top 5 in three-point open shot percentage as well. So when they get open, they're knocking down their shots. And that's not a surprise because they've paid people a lot of money to knock down shots, and those guys are not disappointing. Well, Herder kind of started the season slowly, but he's found his rhythm. But what could they do to address this? I know Nate McMillan has never been the biggest component of taking a lot of threes. I understand that. But at the same time, Bogdanovic is averaging just over 5 threes a game. Bogdanovic, one of the best 10 shooters in the league, maybe even higher. If you look at what he did last season, this is no joke. One of the more underrated parts of their run was the fact that Bogdanovic was 20 points a game on like 50, 50, 90 over the last like 25 games of the season. He was a huge reason. He was probably their second best player this last 25 games of the season alongside Trae Young. And right now, he's been okay to start the season. But if you're going to prioritize getting him 15 shots, which he should be getting 15 shots a night, I know you need to get a lot of other people other shots, and sure, but those guys should be doing other stuff. The Cam Radishes, the DeAndre Hunters, they should be doing other stuff. Bogdanovic is paid to be a shooter and a scorer, so get him the ball consistently. And I know he comes off a lot of screens. I know he gets a lot of mid-range opportunities. Cut a few of them out if you have to. I want to see him coming off screens and getting opportunities from the three-point line. I know it sounds simple and it probably is dumbed down, but that's fine. but he should be taking more than 5.5 threes a game. Look at his old mate in Sacramento. Old Buddy Hield is taking 10 threes a game. There's no reason someone who's this lethal of a three-point shooter should be this underutilized to start the season. I know he's just injured, but you get my point. Keep taking advantage of the mismatches. So before people get crazy, they need to do more than shoot threes. Obviously, keep taking advantage of the Trae Young, John Collins pick and roll. Keep taking advantage of DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Cam Reddish getting smaller defenders on them and taking them to the basket or hitting them in the mid-range spot. Keep doing that. These guys that you paid a lot of money, Kevin Huerter, Bogdanovic, Gallinari, Collins as well to a degree, you paid a lot of money to shoot the ball. Is it rocket science to say you want to get them more three-point shots when they've been a consistent three-point shooting team to start the season as pretty much the only thing they've been consistent at? You also have to consider one more detail of this Hawks team. Kind of ties into what I've said to a degree, but there are a lot of players that have offensive potential in this team that can do a lot of things, and at times it looks a little bit disjointed. You love Trae Young running the offense, you love him creating and getting open looks, but then also sometimes Bogdanovic wants to create a little bit, or John Collins wants to create a little bit, or Lou Williams when he's on the floor even though he hasn't played a ton, or Cam Reddish. All these guys want to create a little bit, and at times it looks fantastic, and then at other times it just looks like it's one guy trying to create and then another guy and then another guy and then another guy, and it's not really this team emphasis like, for example, the Golden State Warriors that they just played before, or the Utah Jazz. There's always ball movement. There's always something happening. There's always someone moving off the ball. There's no reason the Hawks can't have that same stuff going on because they've got enough off-ball threats. They've got enough spacing, and the team offensively, I wouldn't say it's flawless. That is definitely a stretch, but it is damn good. It is a top 10 offense in the league, no matter how you slice and dice it. When you look at Trae Young and the shooting and the lob threats he has around him, that's a top 10 offense, and they're not performing like it right now. There's a few reasons for that. Shoot some more threes. I know it sounds very simple, and just try to work as a team, which again sounds simple and is harder said than done, but that's probably been the two biggest issues for them on offense. Am I coming on here saying the Hawks season is over? No. I'm definitely not doing that. We're not going to overreact to just 12 games, but it is 12 games now, okay? So they're 4-8. They need to start getting it rolling. Otherwise, well, you fill in the blank. You know what's going to happen if they don't start winning some games very soon. Still confident in this team, but get Bogey some more shots. Get Bogey some more shots and be better defensively is what I've got to say in my closing message. Anyways, have a nice day.